Your phone buzzes on the table. You glance down before you decide to. Your hand is already reaching for it and you have not even read the screen yet. Something in you needed to know what was there before your mind agreed to check, before you weighed whether it mattered, before you made any kind of choice at all. That is strange when you actually stop to notice it. You did not choose this reaction. It chose you in less time than it takes to blink twice. The moment when it happens is always slightly different, but the pull is always the same. Why does a quiet little vibration have that much control over a fully grown, intelligent adult? You might assume the answer is weak willpower, or a poorly designed app, or simply too much screen time. None of those explanations are quite right. The real answer is far stranger, and it has almost nothing to do with the phone in your hand. It has everything to do with a brain that was finished being built long before phones existed, shaped not in offices or design labs, but on open grassland, under threat, across hundreds of thousands of years. That brain never received an update. It is still running, quietly, underneath everything you do. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. The buzz on your phone does not actually make you happy. Pay close attention the next time you check a notification that turns out to be nothing important. Notice the feeling that follows. There is no real rush of joy, is there? Mostly there's a small flatness, a mild static, and then your thumb is moving to check something else almost immediately. That flatness is the clue everyone misses. If checking notifications genuinely made you happy, satisfaction would build with each check, and eventually the urge would quiet down. Instead, the urge barely pauses for breath. Something else is steering this behavior, something with very little interest in your happiness and an enormous interest in an older, more urgent question, one your nervous system has been asking since long before you were born. What is out there right now, and could it matter to you? Picture a small band of early humans moving across open grassland 2 million years ago. Food in that world is scattered across miles of terrain, hidden under leaves, buried in roots, wandering on 4 legs that can outrun a hungry human easily. A patch of berries might be heavy with fruit today and stripped bare by birds tomorrow. In a world built entirely on uncertainty like that, what kind of brain survives? Not a calm one. The brain that survives best is restless, constantly alert, always running a quiet background question. Is something out there right now that needs an immediate reaction? A rustle in tall grass could be wind. It could also be a leopard crouched and ready. Ignoring that rustle even once could end everything. So evolution built a reflex that fires before thought has a chance to arrive, a fast automatic circuit that snaps your eyes and your entire nervous system toward anything new, anything sudden, anything that breaks an otherwise uneventful pattern. The only brains that made it into the next generation were the ones tuned precisely to catch that moment as it happened, not a half second later. You still carry this circuit today, fully intact. You feel it when a floorboard creaks in an empty house. You feel it when someone says your name across a noisy room you weren't listening to. And whether you enjoy the comparison or not, you feel the exact same circuit fire when a small rectangle in your pocket lights up out of nowhere. Now here's the detail that matters most. Your ancestors weren't checking the berry bush on a fixed schedule. They were checking constantly and unpredictably, because the reward itself was unpredictable, scattered randomly across time rather than delivered like clockwork. And it turns out that single detail, the simple fact of not knowing when the next reward might arrive, matters more to a brain than almost anything else. You don't know in advance whether your next refresh will bring a message that genuinely matters or absolutely nothing at all. That uncertainty is not some unfortunate flaw in the design. It is almost entirely entirely the design itself. For a long time, scientists assumed dopamine was simply the brain's pleasure chemical, the substance that floods your system the instant something good happens. Then, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz ran experiments on primates in the 1990s that quietly overturned that entire assumption. Schultz trained monkeys to associate a flash of light with juice delivered a moment later. As the monkeys learned the pattern, the dopamine spike stopped occurring at the moment the juice arrived. Instead, it moved earlier, firing at the moment the signal appeared, during pure anticipation, well before any reward had actually been delivered. Then he made the reward uncertain. The signal sometimes led to juice, sometimes to nothing. The dopamine neurons didn't calm down. They fired even more intensely, and they stayed elevated for as long as the outcome remained genuinely unknown. Dopamine was never about the reward arriving. It was about the gap between what might happen and what actually does. In plain terms, the most intense dopamine activity does not occur when you receive good news. It occurs in the seconds just before you find out whether the news is good at all. The checking is the high point. The actual reveal, more often than not, is almost an afterthought. Does any of that sound familiar? An app never needs to make you happy in order to keep you hooked. It only needs to make you want to check again and again and again, regardless of whether checking ever genuinely satisfies anything. Have you ever opened an app with no clear reason, scrolled for several minutes, felt essentially nothing, closed it, and then opened a completely different app within seconds? That's wanting running almost entirely on its own, with barely any liking attached to it. It's not pleasure pulling you forward, it's anticipation looping endlessly, never quite designed to reach a satisfying end. Now look at the notification badge sitting on your phone. That small red circle is not a random design choice. Across nearly the entire span of human visual history, red has reliably signaled something urgent: blood, ripe fruit at peak value, danger at the edge of vision. Your brain was never handed a memo explaining that this particular red dot simply means a stranger liked a photo you posted 4 days ago. It reads the signal the only way it has ever known, as something that might demand immediate attention. The ancient scanning circuit fires first, your hand moves second, your conscious mind arrives last, often a full second behind your own body. Your ancestors scanned an unpredictable horizon constantly because survival genuinely depended on catching the rare moment that mattered, hidden among countless ordinary moments that didn't. Your phone has rebuilt that exact horizon and placed it directly in your pocket. Each refresh becomes a brand new horizon. Each notification becomes a fresh rustle in the grass. The actual stakes are almost always nothing: a comment, an ad, a calendar reminder, and yet the ancient circuit treats every single one as though it could be the rare moment that matters, because that circuit was never built to weigh real stakes accurately. It was only ever built to notice quickly and sort out the details afterward. The crucial difference between your ancestors and you is this: their horizon had an edge. The day eventually closed, the light faded, and the scanning naturally had to stop until morning. Your horizon doesn't work that way. There's no edge built into the grassland you carry in your pocket, no natural point where the scanning has to pause, because someone engineered a horizon that refreshes endlessly by design and profits a little more every time you decide to look. So, the next time your phone buzzes and your hand begins moving before your mind has agreed to anything, you don't have to read that as a personal failure. You are not weak. You are carrying a detection system finely tuned across an enormous stretch of time, one that kept every single one of your ancestors alive. The system worked exactly as it was built to work. It simply never expected to meet a horizon engineered specifically and profitably to exploit it.
Knowing this won't silence the urge entirely. Not tonight. The circuit driving it is older than language, but knowing it changes something real. The next time that pull arrives, you may catch the wanting as it shows up, without immediately mistaking it for an actual need. And inside that brief moment of noticing, you gain something your ancestors never had access to out on the open grassland: the ability to look up, see the rustle in the grass for exactly what it actually is, and decide for yourself, on purpose, whether it's truly worth turning around for. Now, the next time your phone buzzes on the table, you'll notice your hand begin to move, and for the first time, you'll also notice yourself noticing. The answer was never about willpower, and it never will be. It was always about a brain still scanning an ancient horizon it never agreed to leave behind.